I'm extremely frugal. I cut my own hair, I cook my own meals, and I live with 3 roommates. And unless I really need something, I don't buy it. So even though I made over $100,000 last year, I lived on less than minimum wage. So as you might imagine, a really common question I get is,
Charles, why the heck are you so frugal?
and truthfully, there are really 7 different reasons that I'm living as frugally as I am now. And by the way, it's not just all about the money. I'll talk about this at the end, but I have no plans of ever spending all of the money I'm saving. But let me start with the financial reasons, because these are really important. Living frugally could be the difference in $25 million and decades of financial freedom. Not that I knew that when I first became frugal. To really understand why I'm so frugal, we have to go back to when I was 10 years old, helping my father mow lawns. When my dad was in the military, he started investing in single-family homes that he could rent out. He figured that investing in real estate was safer than investing in the stock market. But instead of putting properties under management and giving up 20% of the rents every month, he tried to do everything himself. And that meant that as soon as I was big enough to push a lawnmower, I would spend every weekend of the summer helping my dad mow lawns and trim bushes. And as I got bigger, I'd help move furniture, lay stone, and shovel snow. And all of this taught me an extremely valuable lesson, which is that money is hard to make. I really valued every single dollar I had because I knew that I made that dollar by cutting grass in the hot sun or shoveling snow in the freezing cold. Now these days, making money isn't nearly as difficult. I have a safe corporate job where I sit inside an office and I make 6 figures. But I've never forgotten those lessons, and I still value every single dollar just how I valued my money when I was mowing grass for $10 an hour. And this is a really important point, because whenever you trade your money to buy something, you're really just trading your time. Because chances are, you had to trade your time to earn that money that you're buying something with. And back when I was a kid, buying a muffin and a coffee at Starbucks would cost me an entire hour of working in the sun. And that seemed like a terrible trade. And even now that I earn more, most things just don't seem worth buying. Especially because how much stuff you buy has a direct impact on how many years of your life you have to spend working. And what I'm about to tell you literally changed my life, and I hope it changes yours too. But to understand what the heck I'm talking about, let's go for a run. For most people, reaching financial freedom feels like running a marathon. It takes a long time, you can't run really fast, and it's not very fun. And that's how it feels for the people who take a traditional path to financial freedom. They don't save very much money every year, so they don't make very much progress. And since they spend so much money, they have to spend a really long time saving up enough money in order to retire. But if you're frugal, reaching financial freedom is like running the 100-meter dash. You can run a lot faster, you don't have to run as far, and you can see the end in sight when you start. And that's because not only are you saving way more money, you also need way less money in order to retire. That's because for every dollar you spend in a year, the rule of thumb is that you need at least $25 in retirement savings. Now there's a whole guide in the video description that explains why this is a rule of thumb and how to calculate how much money you need before you retire. This is really important, so definitely check it out. I just don't have time to cover it all in this video. But what this means is that there is a massive double benefit to being frugal. Not only are you saving more money, you also don't need as much money to be financially free. That means you're moving towards the finish line a lot faster, and the finish line is a lot closer. But it's actually even better than that. But to show you why, I have to go running again. So being frugal means that you save way more money, and it means you need way less money in order to retire. But there's actually a third benefit, which is that your money has more time to grow. And here's why that's so important. When you start running, your first few steps will just be picking up speed. But once you get running, you can get a lot faster, and you can cover the same distance in a lot less time. And the exact same principles apply to money. The earlier you save and invest, the more money you'll have in the future. Your money will pick up speed. So here's an example. Let's say you save $1,000 a month from age 30 to age 40. With a 7% return, you'd have $171,053.70. But what if you started saving $1,000 per month at age 20? Even if you stopped saving more money at age 30, you'd still have $336,489.11 by age 40. In both examples, all you did was save $1,000 a month for 10 years. But by starting 10 years sooner in the second example, you'd have almost twice as much money. So by being frugal, I'm basically giving my money a running start. And getting your money snowballing is super important even if you can't save that much money right now. So even if you make less money now than you will in the future, it is still so important to start saving when you're still young, because having more time might be even more powerful than saving more later. So if you know someone who is waiting until they're older to start saving money, can you send this video to them or something? It's actually so important that people save and invest as early as possible, and I don't want people to realize this too late. And this can make a much bigger difference than most people realize. Living frugally can make a $25 million difference. Let's say I spent $80,000 every year. That seems super excessive to me, but that's only about 80% of my take-home pay. And for context, the average person in the US spent about 88% of their take-home pay. So 80% isn't even that high. And since I earn about $100,000 after tax, I'd be saving the other $20,000. If I invested that with a 7% return, I'd have over $8 million after 50 years. And don't get me wrong, that is still pretty sweet. If you save 20% of your income, you should definitely have enough money to retire once you reach retirement age. But let me show you something. Because what if instead of spending 80% of my income and saving 20%, instead I saved 80% of my income and only spent 20%? After 50 years with this same 7% investment return, I'd have $33.5 million. That means I'd have an extra $25 million for living frugally. And this is exactly what I'm doing. Last year, I barely spent over $20,000, and I saved just about $80,000. And if you're curious, the guide in the description does show a little more of a complete breakdown on my expenses and how I calculate how much money I think I need in order to retire early. But the point is that living frugally can make you incredibly wealthy without having to win the lottery or start a successful business. I just have a regular 9-to-5 job, and I'm still on track to be a deca-millionaire. But the truth is, I'll probably never have $30 million. And let me explain why. The reason I'll probably never have $30 million is because I need way less than that to reach my financial goals. I don't want to spend 50 years of my life just working to make the numbers on a screen go up. The reason I'm living the way I am and saving as much as I can is because I want to reach financial freedom as fast as humanly possible. Have you ever heard the phrase that time is money? Have you ever thought about what that really means? Usually, people use that phrase that time is money to imply that time and money is being wasted. But the real point is that time and money can be exchanged. And whenever you go to work, you are exchanging your time for money. But that also means that if you save your money instead of spending it, then you are trading your money for time. By not spending your money, you're able to invest that money and buy your financial freedom. Now, a question I sometimes get is,
But Charles, why would you deprive yourself of so many things?
and I think this is a really misguided question, because here's sort of a universal truth. Everything has trade-offs. So it's true that I'm depriving myself of some things that I would like to have. Eating out all the time and having a car would be really convenient and nice. But what I realized is that the thing I feel most deprived of is my time. Most people don't even realize that they're making this trade-off, but they are. By buying all of the crap that they do, they have to work until their 60s or their 70s. So I might not have as much stuff as them, but I'm on track to be financially free before I turn 30 years old. And I'm happy to cook my own meals, cut my own hair, and ride my bike to work in the mornings if it means I can have my financial freedom literally decades faster than most people. So yeah, maybe it's not as fun to be frugal, but here's the question I want you to ask yourself. Is it fun to go into work every day for the rest of your life? The answer is probably not. So you just have to make your own trade-off between whether you'd rather buy things or buy time. Personally, I'd rather spend every single penny I can on buying more time instead of buying more stuff that I don't really want anyways. And this channel is really all focused on helping people reach financial freedom. And if you live frugally, you will save more money, you'll need less money to retire, you'll make more money from your investments, and you'll be able to retire with millions more dollars or decades faster than the average person. So frugality has some very obvious financial benefits. but the truth is, I would be frugal anyways. In fact, I have absolutely no plans of ever spending all of the money I'm saving. There are 3 reasons for this, and the first is that being frugal is actually kind of fun. And this is really important because it's key to becoming more frugal yourself. If being frugal makes you miserable, it will never become a habit. And using discipline to force yourself to save more just isn't sustainable over the long run. So instead, you should enjoy saving money. And I did this by making it a game. For example, I made it a challenge to find the cheapest meal I could make, and I make it a challenge to spend less than $20,000 per year. It makes me feel good to find a way to make my life more efficient and to save more money. One of the people I was inspired by, Peter Adonay of the Mr. Money Mustache blog, referred to this as the cha-ching instinct. Once saving money is a game, it becomes fun. And even if you don't have fun saving money, you probably will have fun checking your bank account and seeing that you get wealthier and wealthier every single year. And this is one of the reasons that I tell everyone to track their expenses. It's so much more motivating when you see the results of all of your hard work. And one of the most important realizations that I ever had is that I don't actually care about buying that much stuff anyways. What I realized is that even though I thought I wanted to own a lot of different things, I really just wanted to own those things to impress other people. I thought I wanted to own a fast car and a big mansion, but really, I just wanted other people to respect and validate me. Since that realization, I've tried to really focus on what I actually want out of life. And what I've realized is that I'd rather drive a car that I can park out in the weather, and I'd rather live in a simple little apartment that's much easier to maintain. And just in general, I've tried to really focus on separating my happiness from my wealth. I'm a huge believer that if you can't find a joy in your life before you're a millionaire, then you probably won't find a joy after you're a millionaire. And buying things might feel good in the moment, but at least for me, the things which are most important can't just be bought, or at least not directly. Having quality time with people I actually care about is so much more important to me than living in a huge penthouse, but not having the time to spend with people I like. So the question I really try to ask myself before making big purchases is, does this get me closer to a more fulfilling and meaningful life? If it doesn't, then I'd be better off saving that money and getting closer to financial freedom. And at least personally, I found that trying to live frugally helps me focus on the stuff that matters to me in the long term, instead of trying to impress other people or getting distracted from my bigger goals. But because I'm so frugal, I've ended up in this position where I expect to have millions of dollars that I really never plan on spending. And some people see this as a waste. But give me just 1 minute to explain why I never plan to spend all of my money. Let me ask you a hypothetical question. If you saw someone fall through the ice on a frozen lake and you knew you could save them without being injured yourself, would you do it? The answer is probably yes. Even though it would be uncomfortable and maybe even painful, most people would be willing to make that sacrifice in order to literally save someone else's life. But now, let me ask you a follow-up question. Instead of jumping in the ice yourself, what if you could just hand somebody $10 and the person trapped in the ice would be saved? Would you still do it? You would still save the same person's life, and you wouldn't have to jump in the freezing cold water. So to me, that seems totally worth it. The point I'm trying to make is that most people would make a sacrifice to help someone else. And while spending your money might not seem as heroic as jumping in the ice yourself, it would still have the same outcome. And what's more important? You being a hero, or you saving someone's life? Plus, frankly, most people will never have the opportunity to rescue someone out of the frozen ice. But everyone has the ability to give money to charity, which can do just as much good. In fact, it can often do even more good. And this is why I never plan on spending my millions of dollars, and why I plan to keep earning more money even after I'm financially free. I obviously don't need that much, and spending more money wouldn't make me that much happier. So spending those millions of dollars would just be a waste. I'd much rather see that money go towards a cause where I know it's having impact. You could cure someone's blindness for less than it costs to buy a plane ticket. You could save a dozen people's lives for the same cost of buying a sports car. Saving someone's life makes you a hero, but I just don't think that many people realize how big of an impact they could have on the world. So being frugal could give you tens of millions of dollars and your financial freedom. but it can also help you live a more fulfilling and rewarding life and literally change the lives of others. But something I've learned over the past 5 years is that a lot of people know that it's important to be frugal. What they actually struggle with is building the systems and having the accountability to reaching their own financial goals. That's why I've been working on an 8-week program that will help people build financial habits and hold themselves accountable to their own financial goals, all while surrounded by a community of people doing the exact same thing. If you want to become wealthier, reach financial freedom faster, or just have a better relationship with money, there's a link in the description where you can let me know if you're interested. And if you do struggle with building good financial habits, then you need to watch this video right here, where I explained how I literally trained my brain to be obsessed with saving money.